Welcome back to the Tradepreneur Show, where we take technicians and business owners to the next level. Patrick Summers, your host, and Mike Costa, my co-host.
I'm loving the jersey.
Yeah,
Did the Eagles do something recently that I am unaware
Hey,
of?
man. I'm going to ride this as long as I can.
Well, you get to ride it until Super Bowl, what? The next Super Bowl, I forget the number.
Yeah, I do too.
So you're good.
60. I think we need an executive order changing from Roman numerals to just
I hear you. Yeah,
numbers.
people are like, oh, welcome to Super Bowl L, whatever.
Let me chat GPT that number, right?
But you get to wear the jersey and wear it proud.
Hey, man, it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So, anyways.
Good for them.
Yeah. And proud, lifelong Eagles fan. So, when your team delivers like that, man,
It's the best.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But, today, really the concept of a tradepreneur, right? Whether you're a technician or a business owner or you're somebody who wants to get into the trades. I've named it the tradepreneur because a tradesperson has to think like an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Right? And so this episode is really important if you're somebody who's in the trades and wants to go into business on your own, or if you're in business, especially if you're new in business, like in the first 5 years of business. This is going to be really important because I want to share with you why businesses fail, the top reasons businesses fail. There's multitudes of reasons, but it usually comes down to three key things.
Okay.
All right. And what are those three key things? Well, one, people go into business and there's no demand for their product or service, right? Like they like what they're doing. They love what they're doing. Hey, I wish I could do this as a business, right? And guess what? They go out and they start it, and there's no demand for it, or there's not enough demand for it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's great. That's great if you have a passion, if you can turn it into a business. But I will tell you, make sure there's a demand for it. Now, in the trades, there's a demand. There's a demand. Now, it's a highly saturated market. And the reason the market in the trade, specifically HVAC, plumbing, electrical, HVAC especially, is so saturated is it's a low cost of entry, right? It's the technician who goes out and buys a truck. He already has his tools. And then, well, I have a business, right? It's a very dangerous place to be. Not that I don't encourage people to go do that, but it's not easy. So the other reason is lack of capital, right? You've got to have capital. You got to have resource to capital, especially if you want to grow. And in the trades, if you want to get out of a truck and move from being the technician to working on the business and growing the business, now you can do that strategically without needing a lot of capital if you're really sharp. But if you want to grow, you want to make an acquisition, you want to do things like that, you're going to need access to capital, right? And so sometimes, or you grow the business, right? And you're still in the truck and you're trying to get out of the truck and it's growing and all of a sudden you're not managing money right and you need some capital to get things done. And man, lo and behold, you can't access it. Not a good place to be. So, those two things right there are critical. And I think number one, when I mentioned the demand for product or service, just understand that, again, while there's a great demand for the trades, it is a very saturated market. And what happens in a saturated market is we create commodity pricing, right? Everybody's working for wages. Before you know it, you've got all the costs of owning a business, running a business, and from the insurance to the taxes, and you're not making any more money than you did when you were working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Now, you can make a lot of money and be very successful. Just telling you, it's a little bit more complex than I'm going to buy a truck and I'm going to go fix stuff on my own.
Yeah.
And then, the number three thing is, and this is really impactful, and I'm saving this for last, for for the trade specifically, because you just can't go grab somebody off the street and say, hey, I need you to go in here and replace this electrical panel, or hey, could you put a new roof on that building?
What's an electrical panel?
Yeah. It's being able to access, recruit, develop, train, and retain the right individuals.
Which costs you money right out of the gates.
Cost you money. And guess what? We're in an industry, the trades boomers are retiring at a very rapid rate. And there is a huge void of people coming into the trades to fill those opportunities. And especially plumbing, man. I tell individuals, my son decided not to go to college.
Mhm.
He came and he's working in the plumbing department as an apprentice. And I'm like, son, you have no idea how much money you're going to be able to make, because there is such a demand for plumbers, for all tradespeople, but the plumbers especially. And look, in this town we're in the Coachella Valley, right, there are, I want to say 3 or 4 HVAC schools. There's 1 electrical school. There's not a single plumbing trade school.
So it's all you've got to apprentice with a certified plumber to get the experience.
Yeah,
more or less.
put the time in. Yeah,
Oh my God.
on the job training, and that's fine. That's good for all.
Sure.
Look, when somebody comes out of an HVAC trade school, they know enough to like ride with somebody and continue learning.
Okay.
But they understand. They learn the fundamentals. They learn refrigeration cycle. They learn electrical. They learn the components and what they do and don't do and things like that. But it's still on the job training. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to grow your business, you've got to find the right people.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be really tough to find talented, trained, experienced people. And are you going to be able to afford them? And then, so you have to be able to develop them and train them. And then really important is retain them. You've got to build a company and create a culture where people want to come to you and they want to stay with you. And let me tell you from experience, that is not easy to do.
Is there a lot of poaching that goes on?
There is. And I am not a poaching type of guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, now people poach from us all the time.
I was going to say, not to insinuate that you are, but knowing who you are and knowing that being, having met most of the people that work for you.
Yeah.
There's a certain type of person.
Well, I have technicians all the time give me feedback.
Yeah.
So we have one woman in particular that hangs out at a gas station where we fuel up and is always trying to recruit people. And you know what I say? If you have a company and people are trying to recruit your team members, man, promote that. Promote that, because the only reason they're trying to take your team is they know you got good team members.
Exactly.
And you develop your team members well. And so, man, when I hear somebody's trying to recruit from the general, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. You know why? Because you can't do what we can do. So be one of those companies that is that way.
Yeah.
Develop your team to where they are the best and the brightest, and give them the best opportunity you can and show appreciation for them. But those 3 things, and that's for all businesses. Those are the top 3 items for like all businesses. So again, no demand for product or service, no access to capital or the financial resources, and can't retain the right talent to grow your business. So with that said, how do you overcome those things? Well, first of all, for us in this specific conversation, as I touched on earlier, just know that, while there is there's a great demand for trades and tradespeople, it's a very saturated market. So you have to go into the market being able to advertise, get your name out there, and get to work. A lot of people go in and they start doing work for these home warranty companies, which it gets money coming in, but you're not. It's going to be a challenge. Yeah, that's
not big money.
Yeah. So, and then capital, like you got to be smart. You got to understand the numbers. You have to understand the numbers. You have to pay attention to the numbers, and you have to know how to run a business. And there's plenty of resources out there to learn that. So you're not on your own, but don't think that that's an easy component to it, especially when you start having money come in.
Yes.
And you want to spend that money, right?
Oh.
And you want to build up a war chest. Right?
Without a doubt. And Patrick, how important is it for the owner, i.e. you, to have come up through the ranks as opposed to, I just bought this toy over here and now I own an HVAC or plumbing company?
Yeah. It's beneficial. It's not necessary.
Okay.
Right? If you want to own a business that's in the trades, it's beneficial because you know what it's like to be out there, right? But the reality is, whether you were successful, there's a lot of successful people out there that have a lot of wealth, a lot of owned different businesses, have invested in different businesses, and were never in that business, but they cut their teeth coming up through something.
Okay.
Right. And so, but it does help. It does help because if I need to get involved in something with an installation or a repair, I understand now. I've been out of the field so long, I have to tell, okay, wait a minute, I don't speak that anymore, right? Walk me through this. Oh, okay, I get it, right? So it is helpful, but when you get into your own business, right, and you start your own business, have a business plan. It doesn't have to be a super fancy business plan, but know what the plan is, right? How many trucks are you going to have? When are you going to get out of the truck? Because that's one of the things that happens. See, what happens is people are out there doing the trade and they see the revenue they're generating a day and they're like, well, I can do this for myself. So then what happens is they go out there, they buy a truck and they start doing it for themselves. And then they realize, nobody's calling me as I sit here in my garage, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of great businesses started in garages, right?
Yep.
Look at Amazon.
Amazon,
right?
That's right.
So there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to say, okay, well, how come nobody's calling me? I had more calls than I could handle when I was with that company. Yeah, because they market it,
Yes.
right? So now you got to take money and spend it on marketing. Well,
Yeah.
Look, marketing is a black hole, right? And when you get sucked into that black hole, another black hole opens up that's even bigger, and that's digital marketing, right? And all of the traditional marketing people are now all experts in digital marketing,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
And they have the same thing. Like everybody has geofencing, but they all call it something different. So nobody knows what you're talking about. And you think you have a unique proposition to offer somebody. No, you don't. But you have to now navigate, and now you have to be a marketing expert. So now you got into your truck, and now you're doing the numbers, and you're doing the payroll, and you're getting the insurance. Oh, now I need to know marketing. And guess what? If you're new to business, or you're going to be starting your own business, everybody that comes through your door to sell you marketing has the best product you'll ever experience, and it will change your business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the one piece of advice I can give you on marketing. In God we trust. Everyone else must bring data. And if you can't have the data to back up where you're going to put your money, and they can't show you the results,
exactly,
walk.
Yep.
Right. Now there is different types of marketing to grow your business, right? There's the top of mind awareness. Everybody thinks of, you show a logo, the red M, and so everybody's McDonald's.
Right.
We could go all day with examples like that. That creates that brand awareness, but then there's also a call to action. So in the trades that we're in, we're bottom of the funnel, right?
Yeah.
So as much as we want to be top of mind, and as much as you've got to, when you get to a certain point, you do invest in that type of marketing. At the end of the day, people call whoever's going to get to them when they go get in the shower and there's no hot water.
Of course.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. As popular as this cold plunge therapy, cold showers.
Yeah.
Look, I'll do that on my terms, not because
something screwed it up in the plumbing.
Yeah. So your air's not working. Right. So listen, nobody thinks about their air conditioner
until it craps
out. Right. I tell customers all the time, if you could drive your air conditioner to dinner, you'd replace it every 3 to 4 years. Right. But you're talking like, hey, listen, your system's 12 years old. Might be time to consider replacement.
Right.
Let's be proactive, not reactive. No, it works fine. Well, my grandmother worked fine at 92 for a 92-year-old, but she was not operating on the same wavelength performance metrics as she was at 18, 20, even 30, right? So the fact of the matter is, then this air conditioner breaks, and everybody will sell their soul to get cool air. That's a bottom of the funnel. So that's really what you've got to understand about marketing. And again, I'm not the marketing expert. I'm not here to talk marketing. I'm just telling you some of the things you've got to think about when you start your own business, when you're in business. And the other thing is, how do you get out of the truck? if you most business owners start running their own business in a truck, right? And then, so how do you get out of the truck? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'm going to go into depth on what you need to do to get yourself out of the truck and working on your business. Patrick Summers here, General Air Conditioning and Plumbing. I want to talk to you about our Service Plus program. Right now, for $189, you can get your heating tune-up done, a plumbing inspection, and an electrical inspection to make sure your major systems and components of your home are not only operating efficiently, but most importantly, safely. Let's get you comfortable. Let's make sure you're safe. Let's get your systems tuned up, dialed in, and ready for a new year. All right, we're back. Tradepreneur Show. Patrick Summers, your host. Mike Costa, the co-host. Why most businesses, specifically trade businesses, fail. And, we went over the top three things, right? Lack of capital, lack of demand for product or service, unable to find good people. And then when you get into the trades, there is definitely a demand, but it's a very saturated, noisy market.
Right.
And you're competing. So how do you market? And that's where capital comes in. Because if you're not bringing in the money, right, and you can pay as you go, you're going to have to invest in getting that phone to ring. So now let's fast forward to where you're in a truck. Maybe you got one other person, two other people. You got a small little operation. You're doing well. You think you're doing well, but you're in the truck. You can't get out of the truck.
Yeah.
So guess what happens? Guess what your weekends become?
You're in the truck.
Yeah, you're in the truck. Yeah. And when you're not in the truck, you're doing the paperwork. You're writing checks.
Right.
And man, if you're a tradesperson, you're in a whole different world. And so a lot of people, one of the reasons it's not up there for failing a business is it's not so much that they fail as much as it is they get out of the truck. I mean, they get out of the business. They're like, this is too much. And they end up going back to work for somebody, which is fine, right? Not everybody should be running a business, and not everybody running a business should go get in a truck.
Sure.
Right. And so how do you transition out of the truck? Well, it's going to go back to one of the reasons businesses fail, and that is getting the right people. You've got to get the right people, and you've got to put them in place, and you've got to trust them, and they got to run the business. Run the calls. You need to pull yourself out of that. And one of the challenges with tradespeople getting into business is they do not know how to get out of the truck, and they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. The truck is their comfort zone.
Well, and they don't want to. It's their baby, and it's not just in the trades. A lot of people feel like as long as I'm involved and I'm overseeing every single little thing, then I know we're going to be successful. And at some point, you got to push the fledgling out of the nest. Got your feathers, fly.
Yes.
And how soon you're like, okay, they can fly. I can now get out of the truck and go concentrate on some other things.
Correct. 100%. And that's a scary place to be.
Oh yeah.
And
trust.
Trust. Somebody else is out there taking care of your customers, and the end result's the same, but they're doing it differently than you.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're man, wow, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
And so what happens is people go to get out of the truck and they get sucked back into the truck. Right. And again, part of it is when you get out of the truck, you start working on your business. Oh man, it can be overwhelming, right?
Oh,
and so I've known people that have intentionally gone back into the truck because that's where
they're most comfortable and they feel like they're doing the best. Or
we made an acquisition of a company in 2011, and that business got stuck at 2 million. It'd get up to 2 million and fall back, right? And then it would get stuck around the 1 million mark. And there was a husband and wife that ran it. It was a nice little business. And but the husband was like, man, under a lot of stress, and he just kind of checked out. So we actually came in to help them run the business with the idea that we'll either get this thing going for you, and then you'll pay us a management fee to get you back on track, or in the meantime, we'll come up with terms. We'll buy the business, which I think is ultimately what they wanted. And that's ultimately what happened.
Yeah.
But when I did that, the owner immediately came back into the business after a couple weeks of us getting things dialed in, and he got in a truck and ran calls, and he was happy as could be, and because he knew the HR stuff was being handled, the operational stuff was being handled,
Sure.
the bills were being paid,
Yeah.
right? All of that was being taken care of.
Do what you do best.
And that's what he did best. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact,
Yeah.
some of the most successful businesses are going to have an inside and an outside person,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
The inside person is going to run the business and stay focused. They make decisions together, right? And it's their business, but is going to like focus on, look, let's get the business going. Let's do all this other stuff that's like for me, I'm kind of the inside guy and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, right? And I do miss being out on the field sometimes, but I love it. And then there's the outside person. That outside person is the person that is in the field, is driving results from that perspective. And some of the most successful businesses have those type of relationships.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that, if done correctly, can really thrive and survive.
As we wrap up this episode of the Tradepreneur podcast show, I just want to know from you, how tough was it for you to finally get out of the truck, and how long was it before you're like, okay, I full trust in the team I've assembled?
So when I got promoted to service manager, I was, I wore a uniform for a long time, and I remember I finally went to Frank Harrison. I said, hey, if it's okay with you, I'm going to stop wearing a uniform and I'm just going to wear business clothes.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, that's fine with me. It took me probably 6 months to get to that point. Part of it was like, I need to be connected to these guys.
Totally.
I need to be in a uniform.
And I respect that.
Yeah. And so, but it was also mentally for me to get there.
Sure.
And then the challenge was, if we would get slammed, overwhelmed, busy, whatever it may be,
Where's my uniform?
somebody was, I would jump in the truck and I'd go run calls and I'd make up the difference.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd take a new guy and he'd ride with me and I'd make training too.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, I was sitting in my office and Frank Harrison, the owner of the company at the time, he came by and he said, I really appreciate that you'll do what needs to be done when things need to get done, but you're no good to me in a truck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, it kind of hurt a little bit because I was like,
I'm doing you the greatest favor here, Frank.
I'll go dig ditches, I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But then as much as that, I was like, he's right. Like I can't grow this business for him if my solution is me to get in a truck.
Yeah.
Right. So how do I stay out of getting in the truck? How do I stay in the office? Well, that came to just focusing on the things that drive results. Hiring great people, training them, motivating them, basically getting the things out of their way so they could be happy and successful. And it was a transition. So it probably took me close to a year before I was like totally not jumping in a truck.
Right.
And letting that. And I will tell you, sometimes when I jumped in the truck, it was nice.
Oh,
because I was out in the field. Sure. Right. Whatever's going on in the office,
Yeah.
I had to deal with. And so that's what happens.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of opportunity out there. You don't have to be a business owner. You can be incredibly successful as a technician, as a manager. And I always tell the team at Team General, if you want to start your own business, come talk to me. I will invest my time helping train you and getting you ready to start your own business. And we're going to start with understanding the numbers, because if you don't understand the numbers, you will never get out of that truck and you will hate what you're doing. So with that said, it's another episode of the Tradepreneur. This one a little bit on business failing and some of the struggles of being a business owner or a technician transitioning. There's so much to talk about on this subject alone, and I'm sure we'll have additional episodes, and I'd really like to get a guest that has gone through that. But for now, thanks for tuning in. Mike, as always, thank you, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we got another Mike that works the cameras. So if I look fat, it's his fault. Okay. Kelly Garcia is our producer, along with Massey Pitts.
Our
also.
team owns.
Yep. And we got Christy, who basically takes all of the stuff for the YouTube
Yeah.
and the episodes. It makes it look much better than we are. And so, well, maybe not true. Maybe, I don't know. Anyways, hey, follow us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube, find us wherever you can find podcasts. Our website, thetradepreneurshow.com. I really appreciate any support you can give. Like us, watch the episodes, give us some comments, share it. And until next time, do your best out there and kick ass.